Hey guys, welcome to Cycle 1 Week 4. I'm going to run through the memory work and how I presented in my classroom. And then I'm going to hit on art and how I presented that and how I prepared ahead as well. And kind of what things I brought with me. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a little tip for an idea for week 5. So go ahead, and if it's something you like, then you can take that now and start working on it and not work on it, the night before community at like midnight. So anyway, something fun. I don't like to do things too labor intensive, but I do have a little bit of that desire to keep things fun and creative. Okay, so I have the Abecedarians. I have mostly 4-year-olds and one 5-year-old. So, and then I'll give you some tips as I go through. I have an 8-year-old, so I might even jump in and show you or tell you what his class did or how we're using things at home. So to start off, we did geography, and because there was only 4 locations, I did let the kids draw on the maps with, I think it was, we didn't do dry erase. We did do washable. I might do dry erase next time. Maybe it'll come off a little bit easier. We did have to get a baby wipe, which is fine. I have it in my supplies and we were ready to go. So, but with geography, that's what we did. In the past, because they're smaller and I want to be able to move quickly, we've used like show me, tell me with our fingers, or like a little printout of something or a little item that we can move around. So this week we didn't. We did drawing, and I thought that was important and a good skill they need to have anyway. So, and one of the things that I wrote on my my board, my presentation board, was I put myself a few little notes. My children don't really read yet, so it helps keep me on track. But under my geography, I wrote, let's trace them. Okay, so, and I'll tell you those other things as we flip through. Okay, so then on to math. So for math, a few weeks ago, I presented math on my large whiteboard in my classroom. It doesn't have the memory work written on it, so I can really use this board. And I just wrote the numbers out really large, and then I used a pointer with the little hand at the end, and I was able to point as we played through the CD and like move, some of the songs go kind of fast. I feel like the 7s and 8s didn't move too fast this week, so that was good. So what we did was, after I wrote them, I let the children come up one at a time and play the CD, and then they got to keep the pointer going under the numbers to keep up. And the whole thing, it just worked out so great. So we hit our number of going through it 7 times for the 7s and the 8s. Each kid got 2 turns then for the 7s and the 8s. And I'm just really seeing their confidence come out. So what I'm running through today, a lot of participation. The children each got like a turn to be my helper or the presenter or the tutor or whatever. So it was really, really a good week, and I hope your guys are having the same experiences, that everybody's kind of getting comfortable and used to it and they're just having fun. Okay, so that was for the math. So we just sang it, and it's written really big and nice visuals, they can see it. Okay, and then for history, because there is a timeline card that matches, I did bring it in. So as we ran through it the first time, as I'm telling them it, I could show them on the card the actual items, okay? So then, I liked this song. This was good. This was a nice slow song, not too fast, so the kids could keep up, and we did movements. So we did 7 Wonders of the Ancient World, and then, so for Pyramids of Giza, make a pyramid, and then go like this. Hopefully you can see me. You're going to do like the robot arms for hanging gardens. Okay, so, and here's the other thing. If you have older kids, so as you do the Pyramids of Giza, and the song has enough time for, especially for older kids, you could use the American Sign Language like letter for G and so on. So you could, and for B, where's Babylon? Like B like that. So hanging gardens of Babylon. I think that's what my son's age did. Now for the Abecedarians, I just kept it to the sign. So Pyramids of Giza, hanging gardens like this, and then we did a T for Temple of Artemis, and then we did, so for Statue of Zeus, you can either do, we did like a blade hand, like making a Z like this, right? But my son, he came home doing it with whatever your preference is, so you can do that too. Mausoleum, you just kind of take your arms, do like this. And then Pharaoh's Lighthouse, this one was a winner, everybody like this. So kind of go around like this, like a light spinning around. And then Colossus of Rhodes, we just actually stood like we were the statue, like hand on your hip, I don't know if you can see it, and just arm, not all the way up super high, but it's kind of low. I think you can kind of see it. on the timeline card there. So it's not super high. Anyway, all right, so that's what we did. And they really enjoyed that. That worked out great. Okay, so for science, with it being so similar to last week, what I did was I still kept the song the same. I couldn't imagine making up an entirely new song, so I just kept it the same. So, and I did change up the pattern to how they're listed in the book. So I list cytoplasm first, and we had a movement last week too. So it was to Farah Jaka or Are You Sleeping? So it was cytoplasm, cell membrane, nucleus. Oh, you can't see me, but you know, crunch down in a ball. Okay, for nucleus. And then stand up tall and do like the vacuum cleaner motion for vacuole. So, and then Golgi bodies, you're gonna kick a goal. Okay, that's your Golgi bodies. And then mitochondria. And then cell wall. And then for chloroplast, we just get chloroplast, like chloroplast. Okay, so, and I have to say last week was easier to sing as I got to mitochondria. These are the parts of a, last week was animal cell. So this week, you just kind of just keep that tune going. It's kind of like the math, if you remember the math from the cycles before we stopped at 12 and now we're adding in it. It's not always easy. We get a tune in our head. So, okay, so just sing it through. Are You Sleeping? So I'll do it for you. Oh no, that's not it. Cytoplasm, cell membrane, nucleus, vacuoles, Golgi bodies, mitochondria, cell wall, chloroplast. Okay, helps when you have a whole classroom singing along with you. Okay, so for English, again, I just, on my board, I wrote, let's take a turn with Peep. And Peep is our classroom little stuffed animal I brought in, and she is in my car, so I don't have her with me, but you can just picture it. I could use my timeline card, but this was really cool. And again, when I say everyone got a chance to participate, so what I did was I ran through the words before, behind, below, beneath, beside. Okay, so then I took our classroom little stuffed animal and I said before, like, so she was before me, and then behind. You can't really see my arm here. Get a little higher. Okay, so this is cool because last week when I did like along the road, you know, I said that when I first ran through it, but this one was super easy. You said before, behind, and then do your arms like this and do below. And then for beneath, just bend down a little, below. I mean beneath rather. So this is below, this is beneath. And then off to the side, kind of like arm off to the side, that's beside. So it's each kid, when they got the stuffed animal, I just ran through the words, we said it all together, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, and then you just pass it to the next kid. So that's really what's cool about that. Okay, so for Latin, I showed you guys this last week too. There's a great link, and I may even put it in there. Someone has taken the wonderful time to make up these wonderful charts that give you a nice visual for the pronunciation, and I put them in a page protector because we're going to use them over and over. And I used my little pointer with the hand, and each kid came up and took a turn to be like the tutor and point to the sheet. And it was so great because they were all singing along and it worked out really good. So, but there's a link, this lady has created these for all the 1st through 5 declensions. So pretty awesome. And that's it. We're done with Latin. Okay. And all the memory work. So our director also for art brought in some photos of different abstract art, but I printed these ahead of time because I never really know what's going to be there. So here's some pictures. Just go to Google, type in abstract art, click on images, and that's so cool because this one does look kind of like a music note, and one of my students even said that. They were like, oh, look at that. So I usually bring these in a page protector. I'm not using that now because it usually has like a weird glare. So talked about abstract art. We also read a book. My director has pretty much paired up some books for all of our art lessons, and this week's book was, I think it was called It's Not a Box. So it's about a little rabbit, and he has just a cardboard box, and someone is speaking to him when he's playing with this box, And they say, why are you sitting on that box? And he goes, it's not a box. And he'll say, it's a rocket or it's a car. And it's really, really cute. So gets them thinking creatively. Okay, so for the actual art lesson itself, what I did to prepare was I looked through all the kids' names and wrote their initials on some plain paper. So here's my initial, okay? And I'm making it nice and big to where you're sectioning off all this white space. Okay, so, and this is a lot of white space. If I was going to actually draw and color this in, you could take, and use a ruler when you do this, but go through and make sheets for all your kids' names. Because they're little, I just kept their initials going up and down. If you want to get more creative, if you have like a little girl whose initials are like a K and a D or whatever, you can turn, like do the K up inside right, but then turn her initial for her last name going the opposite way, and it'll just give it more creativity. But because these guys are little, I didn't do that. But what I did find was like the children that have like some like loopy curly initials, like if you have a C and I had a C and a G, and so I found out what his middle name was, and I incorporated the J in there too. But what you can do, since what you're going to show them is like draw this, you know, fill in this one color and fill this in a different color and so on, and do different patterns, and they can come up with some fun things. But if you've got a lot of white space, what you can do is just take a ruler and just make some not horizontal, but diagonal lines going all over the place or whatever to just really change it up. And this was my example, and I'm sorry it's not all colorful, but I think you get the idea, and I think you may have seen it other places. But again, just for prepping ahead, you know, go ahead and scribble out some things for them, something like that. Okay, so, and then what I do for review, now our science time, we ended up going outside. We had to move science around because we wanted to do week 3 outside, and we had to do it week 4. Okay, so when we got back, we cut into our review time, but that was okay. We had a really good time at the park. So my children, I do work this in anyway, because 30 minutes for the age that I have to do review is just a really, really long time, and they get pretty worn out or get like running too much. So I sit them down, and I bought these sheets off of Etsy. This is history for week 4. So you've got a picture of all of the wonders of the ancient world. So this is, my son was working on this, not a 4-year-old. And this is so cool because, so I present to them science and history. So here's the cell from science. Well, even though they're young, they said, we did that last week. And I was so proud of them, but I had them color it again and just talked about the differences of what we were learning. So here you go. And we work on these at home. And if you're interested in that, this is kind of cool. For this, for the history, some of them, I don't know if it's all of them. So far it's, let me see. I think maybe it is all of them. But there is a questionnaire that they can fill out, like, tell me about the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Do you have a favorite? What are the purposes? And they can write a little something down. So this is good. This goes beyond just the memorizing. Get them to think and write it down, and, you know, in what classical conversations is all about. And sometimes I think we forget because we get home and we're just running through. We've got to do math and English and all that, and we just forget. But really, like my son, we had a conversation about this, you know, because he was saying, I don't have a favorite. I was like, okay, let's talk about it. So anyway, don't forget to have good conversations at home. Makes plenty of margin in your day so you can do that. Okay, so and my little fun thing that I wanted to tell you about for week 5. So the song for week 5 is that Pax Romana, you know, the Roman Republic. I don't know, it just sounds like a really fun song, but it's long, okay? So what I thought would be fun would be to make like a little guitar. This is just on plain paper right now, but I'm gonna cut it out and I'm gonna run it through the laminator. I don't have many students, but again, like I said, I'm working ahead so that I'm not up the night before. But that's what I'm going to do. Laminate these, and we'll just be able to rock out to that song, right? And then I think, I don't know all of the songs, but we listen to the CDs often. But if there's something else that might be kind of fun, or maybe that might be fun for something for review time. Instead of like a review game, you can just have like a review rock out time. Okay, but I also may add some movements because that's a long song, movements or some signs for like east and west, something like that. But anyway, that's just something to think about. Sometimes it's good to plan ahead for more than just this week. I think last week before Community Day, I was like, oh no, I am so frazzled. I have so much to do, so I'm trying to get a little organized, and hopefully you are too. And that's what I have. I hope you guys are all doing well, and thank you so much for supporting my videos. I appreciate it so much. If this was helpful to you, give me a like, a thumbs up, share my videos, subscribe, and I will keep putting them out. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.